Guten Morgen. Bienvenidos. Hello. I am out in the hill country of Austin this morning, and it is unseasonably cold. 32 degrees, icy road conditions. It took about 6 hours to get down here from Dallas yesterday. It was just plain nasty, and some really shitty weather. But now that I'm out here and I've got all my gear loaded up in the back, I'm driving a manual Cayenne, a V6 Cayenne with a 6-speed, behind two old air-cooleds. So it's going to be a fun day. This is the last this is the last car I expected to buy, honestly. SUVs aside, just in general, I don't know why, but I knew that they didn't make a lot of them, right? Between the V6 Cayennes and the GTS that followed, it's pretty hard to get a manual these days. They're commanding crazy prices, even for high mileage ones, like the one that I have, which, by the way, is in fantastic condition. I'll talk about that in a minute. But they're very, very hard to get. And so, if you're not familiar with Cayenne history, I'm not going to go back and educate you on that, because you can just pretty much go on Wikipedia and look that up anytime you want to, or watch other YouTube videos. But the one that I'm driving is the Gen 2. It's like the Dot 2 of the original car. It's a 09. So it had the facelift, a little bit of a power bump, and all that kind of good stuff. But when these cars came out, no one ordered them in stick. Nobody. Like, literally almost nobody. And so they're super uncommon. Now, I know that uncommon sometimes means more desirable, but sometimes uncommon is just weird and not really desirable, because you have to ask yourself, well, why didn't people order these with sticks in the first place if they're so great? And I think the answer is honestly that for the average person who was a Cayenne buyer, a manual transmission in this car makes no sense at all. If you were daily driving, or, you know, not a sports car driver, you get a Cayenne and an automatic, just like everyone else does. But here's the but. Without the stick, any V6 Cayenne, or V8 Cayenne for that matter, honestly, is just kind of boring to drive. They're good cars, great cars, but they're boring. And this, with a manual transmission, is not boring. It's not boring at all. I would hardly say that it's fast. If you had a GTS model, I think it would do a lot better in a drive like I'm doing right now. It's also a heavier car too, so there's that. But on this particular one, I added 20-inch wheels and some new high performance all seasons, so it actually handles really, really good. But specifically about the manual Cayenne, this particular car has 156,000 miles. It will crest, by the time we get home, 157,000 miles. Sorry, I'm looking where the camera's at. 157,000 miles. And I shit you not, this thing still drives and shifts and pulls and rides like it's off the showroom floor. And it's pretty much original. I bought a lot of older cars that have extensive maintenance history on parts replaced and things built and whatever. But I think what I'm astounded most by is not just, hey, this is actually fun to drive on a back road with some air-cooled and shitty weather, but it handles good. And it's doing it well, and it's not like it feels like it's going to fall apart, I'd be terrified to do this in most older SUVs, let alone with 150,000 miles on it. You'd be like, whoa! ride quality on this is incredible. But like I was saying, I usually get a huge stack of maintenance stuff with any older car I buy, and this particular one is all there. I bought it from the original owner, which is always a cool experience. And you get every receipt, but there's not a lot of repairs to this car. Comparatively to any other older German car I bought, it's probably the lightest. And so I asked him, I said, why did you keep this car as long as you did? I mean, 13, 14 years and 150-something thousand miles is a long time to keep a car, keep any car. Why did you keep the car? And the guy very matter-of-factly said, we kept it because we just kept driving it and nothing broke. It never broke. Nothing ever went wrong. And anything that did need to be fixed was so minor that it really didn't take anything to take care of it. It was pretty light duty. But I'll tell you, I am just so happy with this purchase. I don't think that if you had one of these as a daily, it would really make sense. Unless you're doing short trips or whatever. I would never commute this thing. The transmission isn't what I would consider to be anything special. It's a little long, the shifts, and it's a little, honestly, I wouldn't say it's like the slickest gearbox ever, but it's a Porsche, so you know it's good. That's better than any other truck gearbox I've driven. There goes all my stuff. But, I mean, it can hold its own just fine. And it sounds good, too. I'm kind of surprised by that. I was going to put an aftermarket exhaust on it and intake and all the normal shit I do. And I'm like, it kind of sounds good the way it is. It kind of has this very mechanical, like, kind of raspy VR6 sound, because that's what it is. It's a VR6. There's no drama with this thing either. I mean, I usually expect a Cayenne or a SUV to be all over the road. And, you're going into corners and you're like, oh man, this thing is it's flat and it's neutral. I think the later cars have better revised suspension, better brakes for sure. It says all new brakes all the way around too. I do it on all my cars. I get new brakes and new tires whenever I get a new old car. So I think that the later ones had a revised suspension, but they're also bigger too, like dimensionally speaking. They were larger vehicles, and so they had bigger brakes and better suspension, and I think they were about the same weight, but they were just bigger. I think this thing feels better to drive fast. I had a diesel Cayenne when they first came out, which I absolutely loved. And you can get a quick snapshot of what's going on up in front. We had a diesel Cayenne that I absolutely loved. I'm just going to hang out in third gear through these corners here so I don't have to shift while I'm holding the camera. And that thing was just amazing. It had so much torque. And whatnot, but the handling was just absolutely terrible. Oh, I'm in fourth gear. I got a downshift here. Hold on. There we go. This is a one-handed job. Yeah, who needs a GoPro, right? This is totally safe. Sorry if I'm giving you motion sickness. This is a one-take video right here. All right, now I gotta catch up. But back to build quality. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how good this thing is. And then on top of it, I think the best part is, oh, now they're pulling away. I think the best part is, this is the original clutch. The car is on the original clutch. After 157,000 miles. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I still can't believe it. And that's after living in the Northeast. I mean, it was a Boston car. So the guy had it, and then he gave it to his son to drive to school and college, and his wife drove it. It was a family car. It was a family car. It's not some garage queen. And on the original clutch, no doubt. It's unbelievable. This V6, though, is fun. It's definitely a momentum car. Whoa, there we go. It's definitely a momentum car. Like, you gotta keep the revs up on it. It's very linear. I think the power curve on it, horsepower, torque-wise, is pretty much square. It's like perfectly square. It's like 300 horsepower, 300 foot-pounds of torque when it was new. We're on this road that heads towards Twisted Sisters, by the way. If you're familiar with it, you know it's a pretty fun area outside of Kerrville. The guys do Hill Country Rally out here. Tejas Turismo is a cool one that I've done out here. That's where I got these Paco gloves from. No paid endorsement or sponsorship necessary. Thank you, Paco. They're fucking fantastic gloves. I want another pair. But yeah, these roads are a great test for anything. But even in this, I'm shocked. This is the first time I've gotten it out on some really good back roads, and it's good. This is the ultimate all-arounder, I think. This, if you had this or a Carrera 4 maybe, that was maybe like lifted a little bit, or just stock ride height with some decent rubber on it, this thing is unbelievable. It's really good. But they're getting hard to find. I mean, like, the ones that are out there are no deals anymore. I mean, I got lucky with this one for what I paid for it, but I have to do work to it too, you know, just to get it up to speed. Just basic stuff, brakes, tires, all that good stuff, clean it up. But mechanically speaking, these things are indestructible. I'm very surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that people are looking at these as desirable. I don't think they'll ever become collectibles. Like, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, I have a collection of manual Cayennes. I don't think that's ever going to happen. You know, the Cayenne is never going to be a stick Cayenne is never going to be $100,000 car. But the GTSs, man, a mint low mileage GTS, they're getting there. They're getting there. But I think if you want one to drive and use, this is the better car for several reasons, and here's why. One, the GTS is a pig on gas. Now, most people would say, well, oh, it's a Porsche, you know, or you're driving sports cars. What do you care about? What do you care about gas? Hold on a second. Let me turn in the air a little bit here. It's so warm in here. Everything works in this car, too. It's unbelievable. I'm flabbergasted. Everything works. Every light, every button, every switch, everything works. It's crazy. Finally get to open her up a little bit here. But the GTS, why I would pick this car again over a GTS? The GTS is literally the best of nothing. And I don't even really think it's a jack of all trades, because its application, what it can do, is very, very limited. This car can do like everything well. Everything well. With the manual, it's fun to drive. It really is. It's entertaining. It can hold its own. Two, even though these are rare, these were often fitted with tow packages. This one has a tow package. A GTS, good luck finding a GTS with a tow package. They're very hard to find. I mean, probably like 1 in 10. And I looked for a long time. I'm like, man, I want a GTS with a manual. Good luck finding one with a tow package. It's very hard. You could retrofit it, but then you're messing around with a collectible, desirable car, and you know how that goes. You don't want to mod anything. So these have a tow package. 2, the gas mileage, and what I was getting at before. The GTS has terrible fucking gas mileage. It's atrocious. I had one as a loaner for a few weeks when they first came out, and I was very excited to drive the car. And my new Boxster that I had was in the shop, just getting some stuff done to it, and they gave me this GTS to drive. And I said, well, hey, you know, I actually was interested in driving the car, and it was for sale. So I said, absolutely, I'd love to take it. No one wanted it. No one would buy it. This is 2010, and I think the thing was still sitting on the lot. It was an 09 or 08 or whatever it was. It was still sitting there, discounted. No one would touch it. So I was curious. I was like, well, I'll check it out. And it was black. And in a week's time of driving, I averaged, and not spirited driving, just mixed driving, 10 miles per gallon. 10. It was atrocious. The thing had a standard fuel tank size like this, and I was using it for work too. I was going to see customers at the time before COVID, you know. Once upon a time, 10 years ago, there was a time when people would actually meet you face to face to do business. I sound old now, right? Oh, and I used MapQuest to get there. And I messaged the customer on my BlackBerry. But it was terrible. And so because of the standard fuel tank size and the consumption rate, this is something people don't think about. This was very common with cars right around that recession period of time. The E63, I think it's 63, M6 or M5 come to mind, where you have this awesome V10 with a manual transmission, and you're like, yes, this is the greatest car ever. Yeah, go take it on a road trip. The thing has a range of about 180 miles, 200 max. That's it. That's all they get. I've done that too, thinking, oh, this is going to be the greatest car of all time. It is, but it's not a road trip car. So you're thinking, okay, GTS, Grand Touring, whatever, but it's really not meant for a road trip. It's number one. Number two, the gas mileage. Number 2, the tow package. Number 3, the adjustability of the suspension. So, yes, it has a full adjustability.
I'm going to look for a gas station so we can pee.
It's pee-pee time.
Yep. Let's see if I can find a gas station.
3, the suspension. If you want to go off-road, and I'm not even talking about, oh, I want to go, you know, mudding or crawling or anything like that. I'm talking about, I want to go down some, you know, somewhat shitty roads with my SUV, my Cayenne. Guess what? It sucks. It really does. The suspension is not set up for that. It's not. It's a sports-oriented suspension. And so you're compromising the SUV-ness on an SUV, which doesn't make any sense to me. And so that's another one. Number 4, the interior of a GTS has Alcantara in it, if that's what they had spec'd in it, which is pretty common. And good luck having Alcantara with kids and dogs and all that kind of shit. It will get ruined. I guarantee it. It's the worst fabric to put in a daily car there ever was. This doesn't have any of those issues. No, it's not as fast. No, it's not quite as sporty, but my God, it's pretty damn good. And it gets 17 or 18 miles to the gallon. And it doesn't have Alcantara, and it has a tow package, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and it's way cheaper. So for all those reasons, I am about to go in and get a cup of coffee, and my buddy's going to take a piss. But for all those reasons, I would highly recommend V6 Cayenne with a manual. It's a great ride. And I am going to go and enjoy some more miles with my air-cooled buddies. I'll see you later.